The most common CRO best practices could actually be holding you back. I know, it's a bold claim, especially since you see them everywhere. But as a web designer in the e-commerce space, my job is literally to test different layouts and strategies in order to increase conversions. So I was surprised when I tested these so-called best practices and the results weren't what I expected. And when I stopped following them, that's when my conversions started going up. So I'm going to walk you through the top 3 I've come across so far, what they get wrong, what the behavior data actually says, and what you should do instead. Okay, I don't know how much you know about CRO, but if you spent any time looking into it, you've probably heard this one. Make the call to action button the only way forward and remove all other distractions. It totally makes sense in theory, so I believed it. So I was genuinely surprised why this homepage, with one hero video and one very large shop all button, had such a high bounce rate when it was following the advice to the T. So I designed another version with a category section right at the top of the page, and the bounce rate decreased from 19 to 12%. What's even more shocking, the number of people proceeding to the shop all page also got a 25% lift, which means more people are choosing to stay on the website and keep exploring rather than bouncing off. You'd think that this design would overwhelm people with choices, but it didn't. And I stared at the numbers, trying to figure out why giving people more options made them keen to stay. Here's what I found though. When customers land on your site, they need to know that they're in the right place. We know that. It's like when you walk past a restaurant you've never been to. You wouldn't walk straight in. You'd stop, look at the menu to make sure that they have exactly what you're craving. And if the menu wasn't outside, you'd probably just keep walking. There's a name for it. It's called information scent. It's the idea that people need some sort of signal that where they're heading is actually worth going to. So when I added the category section, I didn't just randomly throw options at people. I specifically chose 3 categories that together communicated exactly what the website was selling. And then I added a shop all option and made it visually clearer than the rest. Why shop all? I'll show you in the next section. But if there's anything I've learned, it's this. You can't force people to click. But what you can do is show them that they're in the right place, which gives them the motivation to continue. So show people their options and make one of them easier to say yes to, and let them choose. Another popular piece of advice is to reduce the number of clicks, get rid of the friction, and shorten the path to checkout. Look, I'm not saying I disagree with this one, because as a web designer, I live by this playbook. I'm also an avid online shopper, so I know how frustrating it is when you literally have to do a scavenger hunt just to find the right button. So it really caught me off guard when I looked at the behavior data, and it was saying something kind of counterintuitive. The more the customer explores and clicks on different pages, the more likely they are to buy. Specifically for this website I was talking about earlier, the path that leads to the most conversions is when customers go through home, shop all, and then the product page, and then checkout. It does make sense. I mean, just think about IKEA. Their entire store is a maze. You literally have to go through the entire thing just to get to the checkout. And for years and years, retail analysts, spatial architects, and even consumer psychologists advised getting rid of this layout, all in the name of efficiency. But when IKEA actually opened the store without the maze layout, people wanted it back. They like the scenic route because it allows them to see all the options, and it makes them feel more certain about what they want to buy because they've seen all the alternatives. Not to mention the whole walk is enjoyable, but but that's a whole nother can of worms. And I did a deep dive into it in this video up here. You should definitely check it out because there's some really interesting nuggets in there. But anyway, back to it. There's actually a whole psychology around this phenomenon. It's called pre-decisional exploration. It's the idea that people feel like they need to consider all their options before committing to one. And skipping that process doesn't make the decision easier. In fact, when you do, it just carries over to checkout and you just end up getting an abandoned cart. So what did I do instead? I stopped trying to force people to check out faster and instead focused my energy on designing the scenic route. The category section on top of the homepage that we talked about earlier is one of them, and I also added an expanded version to the collection page. I even made the breadcrumbs clearer on the product page so people can go back and continue exploring if they're not ready to check out. So instead of shortening the path, I just encouraged exploration. Now, for the third piece of common advice. Bundle complementary products together and your average order value will go up. It makes total sense. Bundle socks with socks, the toner with the cleanser, and slap on a 10% discount. That way, customers won't have to think so hard, they'll spend more at a click of a button, and because each customer is spending more money, your revenue will increase. That's the goal anyway. Well, I hate to say this, but that's exactly what I did and nobody bought. So, I was forced to sit with a very uncomfortable reality. It doesn't matter how we promoted it or what layout we decided to go with. Nobody wanted what we were offering. It's like asking a single person to buy 10 bags of coffee for a 10% discount. Yup, you're saving money, but there's no reason for them to buy that much coffee. In fact, it kind of backfires because it makes you look like you're just clearing out the shelf, which can read as a bit sus. So how are brands like Nespresso selling these huge packs of coffee pods? They gave their bundle a story. Each pack represents a destination: India, Tokyo, Paris. So buying the pods makes you feel like you're getting a taste of a holiday. They even took it a step further by creating bundles that fit into your daily routine. The morning ritual, the iced abundance for a hot summer afternoon. At the end of the day, they're just coffee pods, but attach a story to it. And suddenly, people aren't just buying products, they're buying the experience. This is what consumer psychologists call an identity shift. Because people don't buy products, they buy to become someone or to experience something. So when you're creating your bundle, don't ask yourself what products go together logically, but rather what identity is this bundle helping my customer step into? Because the moment you stop thinking of your bundle as a discount mechanic and rather an identity statement, that is when people start buying. Here's the thing though. None of what I just told you is new. Big brands have been using these techniques for years and years. And honestly, the most interesting case I found so far is McDonald's. Like, none of it was accidental, because when you pull it apart, you'll start to see that everything they do is a psychological marketing strategy. I did a full breakdown and it's honestly kind of crazy, so you should check it out. It's this video right here.